Hello, I'm Joe, aka Mr. Fragrance, and today I'm going to be talking about two very suspiciously similar fragrances. Enjoy the video. Okay, so welcome back. This video I'm going to be talking about two very similar fragrances. I'm going to be separating the similarities. I'm going to be talking about two very similar fragrances and basically telling you the differences between the two, but the things that I find pretty similar about them. And I'm not actually going to be talking anything about notes in this one, or at least the official listed notes. What I might do is mention something that I think possibly is a part of it, but when it comes to notes, that's going to be completely thrown out the door for this one. I basically just want to describe how I think they're similar, kind of where you'd wear them, that kind of thing, how similar in terms of situations you'd wear them in and whether that you might wear them in, but mainly which one I actually prefer, which one I think performs best, and if you want to get something for that type of fragrance, that feel fragrance, which one you should be buying. Of course, that's just a little running joke I have on this channel, the fact that, you know, YouTubers actually yell at you and tell you which fragrances to buy. Of course, I'm joking. What I will be telling you though is just basically reviewing and giving you an idea of which ones you might want to buy based on your preferences and if they match what I'm talking about. Anyway, I should probably tell you what the two fragrances I'm going to be talking about today are. Let me just unbox the second one. The first fragrance I'm going to be talking about though is this, and this is Bad by Deisel. There you go. I really like this bottle. In fact, I think it's an awesome bottle. It's got this cool kind of leather feel to it. And then actually, if you look through the bad written on the back, on the front, sorry, you can actually see this gold, which is on the inside of the bottle, which is awesome. Anyway, and believe it or not, a fairly similar color scheme. Here we have Acqua Di Gio Profumo Absolu, sorry. Don't know what I'm talking about. This is again a really cool bottle. If you look at the cap, awesome kind of wooden feel. And so from the get-go, the aesthetic, of course, yeah, this one's not going for the leather feel, this one's not going for the clear glass feel, but they both have this kind of golden bronzy feeling to the juice, to the color of the juice, to the kind of marketing of the fragrance. But hey ho, what can you do about that? That could be a complete coincidence. So I'm going to give them each a spray on a tester strip. So first of all, here is a little view of the spray of the Absolu. Nice, very nice atomizer. Of course, Acqua Di Gio bottles always have cool atomizers. And secondly, we're going to do this Bad by Deisel. Again, great atomizer. Both of them have brilliant atomizers. Okay, so left is Acqua Di Gio. No, I mean, I know this is ridiculous. Look at these spray pads. Honestly, it's absolutely ridiculous. Left is Acqua Di Gio, right is Bad by Deisel. So from the get-go, they have this really, and I think that a lot of people would call it synthetic, kind of sweetness that you get in a lot of these kind of winter feel fragrances. It's a similar kind of feel that you get in the Azzaros by, the Azzaro Wanted by Night, it's the Azzaro Wanted. Again, it's almost the kind of thing that you get in some of the Paco Rabanne sweeter fragrances. So you're looking at Invictus, you get that kind of quite intense, quite syrupy sweetness. And actually it's also in Dupe Homme. It's just this, I think it's probably an aroma chemical that is used, or a combination of aroma chemicals that is commonly used to create this really mass appealing synthetic sweetness that a lot of people just absolutely love. And do you know what? I'm not going to stand here and pretend I don't like it, because I do. I actually think it's a lovely, lovely smell. It is what it is. It's kind of like a, I guess if it were to be real oils, it's kind of like a benzoin, tonka bean combination with some sweeter woods, possibly like a sweet sandalwood and a sweet cedar. Again, quite synthetic. Of course, if we jump straight to the Acqua Di Gio though, they both have that really intense amber feel to them that you get from the color of the juice. But the Acqua Di Gio has, and it's weird because the Absolu actually still has a bit of the DNA that when I first smelt it, I thought it was completely straying away from that kind of original DNA. But when you compare it to something that smells very similar to it, it has that additional sweetness, and I think it probably still has some ambroxan in it to give it that feel of the Acqua Di Gio. Jump into the Bad. This, on the other hand, to kind of replace that ambroxan, actually has a slightly darker feel to it, but more of an almost floral feel. Quite a masculine floral, quite a dark floral, but it's certainly floral, it's certainly sweet, certainly fluffy, and pretty comforting, and a really nice smell. Other than those two slightly different kind of facades, I guess you'd call them, they're pretty similar, especially in the opening. So the opening is very, very similar. If we move into the mid, as these kind of progress, you'll find that the Acqua Di Gio Absolu starts to almost immediately just drop off and become pretty unchanged. It doesn't really change much from the opening. It changes a little bit in the opening, slightly kind of calms down a little bit, stops being this really wide projecting bubble around you, and I actually think that Absolu is probably one of the worst projectors of the line, and probably one of the reasons why it gets so much hate. I really like Absolu. You know, to me, it's kind of been this holiday scent that I've worn, especially when I went away to Granada and Spain. It's something I brought with me there, but I actually discovered it in Lanzarote, and that's where I got it. That's where I first smelt it. I didn't get it in Lanzarote. I think I got it when I got back here, and I bought it online, but that's where I discovered it. And then I brought samples with me to Granada, and it's kind of just been this thing. It's ingrained in my kind of love for these style of fragrances, these mass appealing sweet fragrances. And it's probably one of the things that pulls me away from the animalic, more interesting fragrances, which I'm now getting into and really loving. But it calms down. To kind of summarize again, it starts to become quite weak. And you compare that with the Bad, which is projecting like a beast still, absolutely awesome, going full out, and actually the florals are starting to come up and up and up and overcome this kind of beaniness, which I like to, in my head, I picture it as like a kind of mushy, dark and heavy beaniness. I just get that from tonka bean. I literally can see your eyes right now going. Anyway, so yeah, that's kind of what I feel. If you can in any way interpret what I've just said to your life and the way you've pictured fragrances, then I commend you. You're really well done. Because that was pretty crap, that description. Beaniness to me, literally just fibrous, earthy, heavy, sweet tonka bean. Literally, it's all revolving around tonka bean in my head. Those two things are prominent in both, but far more prominent in Bad by Deisel, and for that reason, it's a better performer. It just is. I think that Acqua Di Gio focuses a little bit too much on being this subtle fragrance, which is very, very nice. I really like it. The Absolu is really nice, and I would wear it anytime, because especially in a more office situation where you don't want something that's absolutely blasting off, you're going to choke people to death. You want something that is just really nice to have on you. When you shake hands, someone smells it. When you hug someone smells it. The person sitting next to you on your left and right smell it, but they don't come engulfed in it. Deisel is probably something for more the nightclubs. It is something to kind of wear and draw a crowd. It is a similar smell to the Acqua Di Gio Absolu and cheaper than the Acqua Di Gio Absolu. Now finally we're going to talk about the dry down in the long run. I've already stated really that neither of these really changed much from what I've already described, so there's not much talk there, otherwise I'm just going to drone on even longer. But the one thing to talk about is the lasting performance, and that is where there's a shocker. After everything I've said about performance and projection and longevity, well, I've not said anything about longevity, that's what I'm going to say now, but in kind of projection, the Acqua Di Gio Absolu performs and has a much greater longevity. Bad by Deisel is gone within 3 hours, really. It really is pretty much gone within 3 hours. If you spray it on clothing, I've actually continued to smell it the next morning, the next day. It's actually pretty good performer on clothing. If you get a little bit on clothing, which I wouldn't recommend too much given the color of it, but if you get a little bit on clothing, you know, it's gonna project and perform a little bit better. But Acqua Di Gio Absolu performs pretty decently. Especially, it's quite a long-lasting skin scent after about 4 or 5 hours. But up to that 4 or 5 hour mark, you know, from spraying on, it is one of these fragrances that is gonna project off you slightly, not too much, but at a level where again, as I said, the person sitting next to you, sitting on your right and left, the person you hug, the person you shake hands with, is going to be able to smell. So yeah, that's basically how these two fragrances compare in terms of longevity, smell, performance. That's it. What would I say is the kind of best smelling in terms of what do I feel is got the best quality? And that to me is kind of a no-brainer. The best quality smelling fragrance is the Acqua Di Gio Absolu, and the price, the kind of background brand, the company has nothing to do with it. Trust me, that is not skewing my view in any way. There's just something about the Acqua Di Gio that feels less, it's hard to say, but it just does feel less like synthetic. It just does. It has a greater kind of slightly more imaginable and slightly more kind of organic smell to it, whereas Bad just smells like one of these lab fragrances that was created to smell so sweet and synthetic and mass appealing, but nice to wear. They both have a similar feel, of course, but the Acqua Di Gio just has that edge on, slightly more subtle and slightly more kind of impressive in the way it smells, and slightly more complex. So that's really it. It's slightly more expensive, of course, as well than Bad, but if you're looking for this type of fragrance and looking for the better one, I still would recommend you stick with the Acqua Di Gio, which I know that some of you may be slightly disappointed to hear, because of course, this fragrance here is a cheaper fragrance, and it's a great fragrance too. This is the EDT. There is an EDP, which I maybe need to have a look at. Maybe I'll be looking at that one next. But for now, thank you very much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed. Please do leave a like, subscribe, comment on the video, and check out my website, ruralperfumes.com, and I will see you next time on Mr. Fragrance. Bye for now.